We are live. All right, YouTube, it is Mr. Mean coming at you live from very gloomy Duluth, Minnesota. Minnesota, that's a new place. Minnesota. A little housekeeping, as always, like and subscribe. Let your friends know. It really helps out the channel. Also, I'm on ZellyPay. That's zellypay.com. You can send a donation to J, as in the letter J, POLACK @gmail.com. Please know that all your donations will go to help put food on the table and help the family out and keep the channel going. So today we are talking with Mr. James Gantry of Feral Games, Inc. And we're going to go over some RPGs, primarily The Witcher from Pondsmith and Pondsmith, a.k.a. R.Talsorian Games. And that name may sound familiar to some of you grognards if you're a Cyberpunk 2020 fan. R.Talsorian is the company out behind that game, and they have now produced, in conjunction with CD Projekt Red, the tabletop RPG The Witcher. James, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Lovely, Ducky. Hopefully everybody can see the screen. Obviously, there's probably nobody in chat yet, but we will obviously post this to YouTube when it's all said and done. James, how's the weather over there in sunny old England?
It's very warm.
Warm, really?
Very warm, yeah. It's nice.
Well, as Morgan Freeman said in Robin Hood with Kevin Costner, is there no sun in this godforsaken land? Because it's gloomy here, man. Yesterday was sunny and gorgeous. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful outside. And then here today, I mean, it looks like shit outside. But it is what it is. So, what do you, so you've had a chance to look over The Witcher, I take it?
Yeah, when I heard there was going to be a Witcher game come out, because I'm a big fan of computer games, and I've got the books as well, the original books. I've not read the books. I've got too many things to read. They're on my pile of things to read. But I'm a big fan of a computer game, and so I thought, and this has been done along with CD Projekt Red as well, so a lot of the images are from a computer game. So I thought, oh, that's very exciting. And then I heard it was going to be released, and so I actually contacted R.Talsorian. I spoke to Mr. Pondsmith, and I said, what's the chance of me of getting a copy over here? And he goes, well, you know, it'd be very expensive, blah, blah, blah. We're going to be launching it at Gen Con. And I thought, oh, I need a copy of that game. So I knew somebody who was going to Gen Con. I said, look, here's some money. Get me a copy, stand in my queue, which they did. And then they got the copy and they posted it to me straight after Gen Con finished.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I got it pretty much immediately within days of Gen Con finishing, really. But so I was very lucky. So I got it before anybody else did in the UK, unless, of course, they went to Gen Con or had friends there.
Right.
So I was very excited.
Yeah, I was lucky enough. One of my viewers asked me to do a review, and I said I would, but and I had just gotten laid off. It was mid-February, and I had just gotten laid off from my job. And they said, hey, could you do a review of The Witcher? And I didn't even. I knew it was coming out as an RPG, but it kind of went on the back burner because I didn't think about it. And I said, yeah, sure. As soon as somebody gives me a copy, I'll be more than happy to review it. I don't have the money to go out and buy it. And never heard anything more. And then like a couple days later, I got a notice from Drivethru RPG that I had a download waiting for me. And that viewer, and I apologize, dude, I don't remember your name. He bought me a copy of The Witcher PDF and sent it to me. And so here it is. So hopefully everybody can see it on the screen. I don't know if we have anybody in the YouTubes.
Nothing yet. Nope, nobody yet. We have got two watching there, apparently. There's two people.
Oh, we do? We got a couple people watching. Well, man, jump in the chat there and say howdy.
It's very exciting.
It's very exciting. It's just.
I think I could be one of those. Yeah, somebody's in the chat now. We've got. Is it Antoine Nulan?
Yeah, Antoine Anthony is he's a longtime viewer, subscriber to the channel. So, Anton, my good friend, how are you, sir? Is it Anton or Anthony? I know we went over this.
Yeah, I think it's Anton or Antoine. I don't know how he.
I think he pronounces it Anthony. I think he's down in South Africa or in Africa somewhere, if I remember correctly.
Wow, mad.
Yeah, I know. Pretty.
I don't know how he.
But I think he pronounces it Anthony. Oh, hold on one second. I'm doing. There we go. All right, I've got the chat up now, so I can open up the screen. Yeah,
Anthony Nolan, he says.
Yeah, so yeah, he goes by Anthony.
That's what we call him from now on.
He is Anthony. He's the dude. Anthony, are you familiar with England from Ireland? So you're all messed up, dude. I mean, you're worse than James. I mean, James has an excuse. He's straight up from England. But, I mean, you're from Ireland living in England? Man, that's rough. I mean, I pick on everybody, and that's why I'm called Mr. Mean. Nobody gets any slack for me. So hopefully, Anthony, you've seen The Witcher. I don't know. Maybe you were the one that sent it to me. I don't know. I'm not very smart. I'm big and dumb. That's why when my wife married me, I can reach stuff on the top shelf. But we've got it up on the screen here.
Yep.
I gotta say, man, I was so excited to see R.Talsorian put something new out because their website went away. They now have like a WordPress page or whatever it is, and it's very lackluster. And of course, it takes money to do all this stuff, and they've been really quiet. And I remember when he put out Cyberpunk 2020, I think it's the 3rd edition. I remember talking to him at a convention, and I don't know if he remembers it, but I was like, dude, what's up with the tissue paper RPG? Because I feel like I'm going to take this RPG with me when I go camping in case I run out of toilet paper. I've got an emergency supply. And it was funny. And then I said, what about the art? Because I'm talking about the version that basically uses action figures for all the art. And talk about horrible. Now the rules updates, and there were very little. It was pretty much a straight port. It was just another copy of the game. The layout of the book and everything I did like, and I probably need to review it. But the paper was so thin that I wind up tearing a couple of pages while I was trying to turn it.
Right.
And then, of course, the art was just did not invoke the cyberpunk theme. And I remember asking him, and he said, well, he goes, what did you want? Did you want a pretty book or did you want a book? Because I couldn't do both. And I said, yeah, but I know you paid money on those action figure art. And he just kind of shook his head and he says, I don't want to talk about it. So even he knew it was a mistake. And I don't think the book sold nearly as well as he wanted it to. I mean, I know I bought it. I mean, I saw it on the shelf and I scooped it up because I was like, oh my God, a new version of Cyberpunk. And, I snatched it up. But coming back to The Witcher, I can say, and I have been authorized by Mike Pondsmith's group at R.Talsorian that there is a new version of Cyberpunk 2020 coming in.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they are redoing it. Yeah,
2077.
Bit more future proof as well.
And I will have Mike on the show. His PR people have reached out to me. Right now, he's going back and forth to Poland with CD Projekt Red. And so his time is really, split. And of course, he's going to have to do the Gen Con thing. And, I don't think we're going to see Cyberpunk 2077 this year. I think it'll be next year or possibly even early 2021. I don't think anybody's said anything.
No, I think it'd be good if they can coincide it with the release of the actual computer game, because I think that would be
and I think that's what they're going for. But the PR guy from R.Talsorian from Mike said, yeah, Mike did remember me, which was awesome. And I love Mike. Mike is a super nice guy. And I remember Cody when he was a wee lad running around at the convention. So it's pretty funny. And then, they did confirm that they would come on the show, and they confirmed my Gmail address for my Drivethru RPG. So I'm assuming, hint, hint, Mike, if you're listening or you watch this later, which I'm sure you will, that there will be a copy of the Cyberpunk 2077, because I will run the shit out of that. It's one of the first games that I dove into really hard for GMing, and I loved it. That Mona Lisa Overdrive was one of the first cyberpunk novels that I read, and then of course I got into all the Shadowrun novels. And I read all of those. So I have a love relationship with R.Talsorian. Cyber Generation I thought was fantastic. I loved it. Thought it was a great game, and I hope they revitalize it and bring it back. I think it would do well in this market today. But Anthony is saying he's never seen the Witcher game or the RPG, but he's very interested though.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's get down to it then.
Yeah, Anthony, if you have a PS4 or an Xbox One or a PC, obviously you have a PC of some kind. You can pick up the Witcher computer game. It's actually, I think it's one of PlayStation's classics now or something like that. Really good game. I highly recommend it. But we're gonna pretty much dive into this the Witcher RPG. Hopefully everybody can see the screen. James, you can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you see the cover of The Witcher on there?
Yep. I mean, I've got my book with me as well, so I'm okay.
Right. He's a lucky bastard. He has the physical book. I'm not. I only have the PDF, and so I have to wear these lovely. You guys can't see me because unfortunately Google Hangouts doesn't do a screen capture. I don't believe so. You're not seeing my lovely bearded face. I'm sorry to deprive everyone, but. Man, I got to tell you, I dig the cover, and I love seeing the Pondsmith and Pondsmith because that's Mr. Mike and his son Cody are both they worked on this in conjunction. So I think that's super nice. He's bringing his son into the fold to help produce this, and of course, CD Projekt Red gave him just he gave him the kitchen sink and the keys to the whole damn house to produce this. So what I like about it, James, and you've got the physical book, so I'm sure it pops even more, is the art inside of it.
Yeah, the art is a lot of the art is taken from the actual computer game, which is amazing anyway. I think some of it is kind of newish.
Well, it's a lot of the concept art that they did.
Yeah, exactly.
Over the years. So some of it, it's not actually screen captures from the game. It's the computer generated art and or the art that was commissioned by CD Projekt Red, exactly. to do it. And man, I mean, right here we're looking at the one of the wild I forgot
they call the
Leshy with the wolves and the Witcher there. He's got the silver sword out because that's a magical creature. And the silver sword is the one that has the Witcher icon on the hilt on the pommel. And we can see the other sword on his back there is the normal steel sword. So, I mean, the art is just incredibly evocative. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this button. I like the iconography. They kept all of the magical symbols and everything.
Yeah, from the so when you said that your
Ignis and all of
that.
All the spells that you can do. Really cool. So we're going to go through this kind of quick. There's some more, one of the dwarves or whatever they are. Awesome. I just, obviously first and foremost, guys, we're not going to dig through this book page by page. Buy the damn book. It's that good. It's totally worth it. One of the things I wanted to go over, aside from the art and the layout of the book, which in my opinion is phenomenal. I do love the way this book is laid out. I mean, right off the bat, we have stats for Geralt.
Yeah.
So, as a
all
GM,
the characters have got stats in the game. Yep.
Yeah, all the major NPCs that are in the computer game are in here and are statted out, and I think that's awesome. So here we go. We got Geralt. We got a little, on the right side here, we've got a little bit of text. We got a nice picture of him, and then of course we've got all of his stats. Now, if some of you old timers are looking at this going, my God, this seems really familiar. It should. This uses the same mechanics as Cyberpunk 2020. Few changes because Cyberpunk doesn't have magic in it. But yeah, I'm really excited to see that it's pretty much the same system as Cyberpunk 2020. And may this be a glimpse to the new Cyberpunk 2077 that's coming? I don't know.
I'll probably imagine. I reckon this will be.
Yeah, well, it'll be without the magic, but there were a couple of Cyberpunk aftermarket books that were put out that did deal with psionics and stuff.
Yeah,
so it'd be cool to see if that's added in there. But yeah, here's Yennefer. I mean, we got all of our NPCs: Dandelion, Zoltan, Triss. I mean, all your major NPCs that you meet in the game are here. But here's what's neat: page 20, character creation.
Yeah, so this is kind of interesting, really, because in the game, one player can play a Witcher, The rest of the players tend to play his companions rather than actually a Witcher. So you in theory, you won't get a group of Witchers walking around.
Right.
There's generally just one Witcher and then his companion. So it's kind of very similar to the computer game in the books where Geralt is the main character who's the Witcher. He's trained as a Witcher. And Witchers, for those people who don't know, Witchers are kind of genetically modified humans who are designed to sort of be tougher and faster and control magic and so forth. And they tend to live longer and so forth. So you get to play a Witcher and then you have your companions. And your companions can be mages or they can be warriors, bards, all of sort of standard sort of fantasy tropes from standard fantasy games. So you get that kind of. You don't even have to play Witcher if you don't want to. You can actually just play a group of people wandering around the world of the Witcher. And just for those people who have never played a Witcher game or read the books, the world of the Witcher is very war torn. There's a lot of war going on. There was a thing called the Convergence, which caused all the monsters to appear, and so basically you're living in a world of war and monsters, and it's very dark, quite dark game. So that's kind of what you like dark fantasy. This is kind of a game, really.
Yeah. And what I do like is right here on page 22 in the upper left-hand corner, they tell you about female Witchers. Because in the video game, it's pretty much, it's all males.
Sherry, I think, Sherry, which is the young girl who kind of becomes Geralt's daughter, I think, is kind of a unique
hybrid.
Yeah, she's not genetically modified like
right. But she does have some of the Witcher talents and stuff, and she does have magical ability, if I remember correctly.
I think she has some skill. I'm not too sure if she does have magic though.
I don't remember. It's been a while since I played. I need to go back and play the game.
Yeah.
It's an amazing game for those who haven't played it. It's very open world, and you can do kind of what you want. You're not really on rails. You can, of course, follow the main storyline, and you can do just that, and you'll level up and everything, and you'll get access to better powers and stuff. But you can get on your horse. Once you get past that initial scene in the inn, you get your horse and you can go anywhere you want. You can get on boats and travel to islands. I mean, it's an amazing, it's super well done game. I have it on the PS4, and I think it's probably one of the best done open world games on the PlayStation.
It is, I would say it's definitely the best.
Yeah. But I like how they address that, in an RPG, in this day and age where obviously we have a lot more women and young ladies playing tabletop RPGs. I like the fact that if you want, and I know a lot of guys that like to play female characters because they like to role play. So I think this is really cool that they specifically address this and say, hey, you want to play a woman? Play a woman. It's fine. And I think that's cool. That's very, very neat. But the neat thing about this is they follow the same character creation process that Cyberpunk 2020 did. You have a life path. And that's iconic to the Cyberpunk RPG, even to Cyber Generation and everything. In Mechton, you have this life path. And so when you create your character, you're going to go through these steps. You're going to pick a race. You're going to pick perks and stuff. And you're going to, here's your life path. You're going to know where you come from. You're going to know how many members in your family. Are your parents alive or dead? I mean, you really flesh out your character.
Quite crunchy, it's definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's very crunchy. It takes, I don't know about you guys, but for me, creating a character is probably where I get the most excitement out of a game, whether I'm the GM or the player. Typically, 99.9% of the time, I'm the GM. Yeah. So helping people bring their character to life in doing the random life path generation is just, it's so full of ups and downs, and you really get a super fleshed out character that and I think that's just I wish more games did this,
Yeah. I mean, there's quite a few games that do these life path systems, and you would get them that they're really kind of a bit dull and not very exciting, or they're very interesting. I mean, I think Traveller kind of did it first.
The game where you could die in character creation.
Yeah, where you could die in character creation. Yeah,
and then Mutant Chronicles was one of the, besides Cyberpunk, was one of the first games that I remember. The original first edition Mutant Chronicles by Heartbreaker Hobbies also had a very detailed life path in it, and that's how you actually created your character. It was nice to see that Modifius in their 2D20 version, the current version, has continued the life path, and they do it with Star Trek, and they do it with Infinity and Conan. I mean, so it's really nice that they snagged that. And I mean, so if you like that kind of character creation where it's very detailed and tells you a lot about the background of your character, definitely look at The Witcher, obviously, or any of the Modifius games. If any of those games spark your interest, they're definitely going to give you that feel that you're looking for.
Yep.
It's
good. When it's good, it's really good.
And I think those games that we mentioned do it really well. I gotta keep coming back to the art, man. I really vibrant colors, really, life events, the wagon being overturned, the people being attacked by brigands, and this is the kind of scene where you could just see the Witcher, riding by on his horse going, don't get involved. It's not your thing. And then one of the guys goes to kill, the little girl, and he's like, shit. And then you just see a sword flash out and it blocks the killing blow to the young girl, and the Witcher's like, oh, now I got to kick ass and take names, and I think it's just very evocative of the setting. And I like it.
It's very good. It's that's what I like about it, is it's very dark. A lot of things can happen in that you don't see in a lot of role-playing games where the world is a dark place.
I don't mind dark, and I think dark is good because you got to have something to strive for. But there is hope in this game.
Yeah.
There is light at the end of the tunnel because you, as a Witcher, or as the band working with the Witcher, you're doing good deeds. You're killing the monsters, and every monster has some sort of effect on the land. Where they, the crops don't grow, babies aren't being born as there's something how they affect the area when they set up shop in the area. People start having bad dreams and do stupid shit. So it's really cool in that aspect. That you if your GM portrays it properly, you should be helping things. You should be moving the plot forward and making wherever you go as this band of the Witcher and his merry followers, you should be making it better. Which I think is kind of is a good thing. It brings hope and all that fun stuff. And again, here, page 36 for those following along at home, your personal style. I mean, obviously you've got your option to roll, or you can just pick whatever you want, so very cool. Your profession, obviously. Again, like James said, pretty much only one of the players is going to be the Witcher. You might have two, maybe a young apprentice Witcher going out with the more seasoned Witcher. But for the most part, it's really only one, and then everybody else is just tagging along to support him. Have you you haven't got to play yet, have you, James?
Well, the actual role-playing game?
Yeah.
No, not yet. No, I haven't. I'm finding time to do anything with it. I mean, it's one of those games that I think everybody who plays it needs to know the sort of world. Otherwise, it'll just end up playing out like a typical sort of D&D game. If you've got a group of friends, if you know the world and everything else, then it's a great game to sort of get involved in because you can get really immersed into it. So
yeah, and I think it's one of those ones. Do yourself a favor if you go to a convention and you get the opportunity to play this. Definitely jump in there and check it out. You'll be you'll be pleasantly surprised if the GM does a decent job, which most of them I think would, because it's a pretty straightforward game. I mean, it is definitely there's something bad in the land, and everyone's going to when they see a Witcher, this is a game that just opens itself up to role playing, because everybody knows what a Witcher is in the world. So the GM's going to portray that, someone's going to come running up to the Witcher, whoever that player character may be, and say, me lord, you have to help me,
Griffins are killing me kills.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just ripe for adventure. According to the YouTubes, we've got a whopping 4 people watching. And I'm sure one of those is James. Might even be me as one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of them. So we got 2 people in there watching right now.
Now it's got 5 watching as well.
Oh my goodness, we're just everybody watching along at home, please pop into the chat and say hi, so we know who's watching.
Ask questions,
Ask questions. Yeah, if there's some specific page you want to see or something, let me know, or let James know, and we'll. I've actually got the chat open on my screen as well, on my laptop screen. So yeah, skill packages, magic perks, defining skills. All your starting stuff that you need to create a character is here. So James, you mentioned that Erst is McDorf. Okay, yeah, he's saying it was originally a series of books. There was also a Polish TV series, and there's actually going to be a new Netflix series. Erst. Yeah. I'm really excited. The guy that played Superman in Justice League and all those movies is actually, he broke. If I understand correctly, and James, correct me if you know better. He broke his contract with DC to stop doing the Superman movies to do The Witcher.
Yeah, I don't blame him. They were rubbish.
Yeah. I didn't think they were that bad, but, I mean.
Yeah. I don't think DC's made decent films since the Batman films with, what's his name, Christian
Bale.
Bale, yeah. I think they were the last decent Batman films. I think after that, they all went downhill a bit, really. But anyway.
Yeah. I got to say, Christian Bale was probably the best Batman. So he's I can't think of the actor's name, but yeah, he left the Superman franchise to go and do The Witcher, and I've seen some post-production stills of him done up in the Witcher makeup, and man, I gotta say, he looks phenomenal. They did a really good job, and he lost a little bit of weight. Because he had to really beef up for Superman. So he's gotten back down to his normal build for the most part, because The Witcher is pretty well built according to the video game, but he's not like a walking wall of muscle. He's just he's athletic. He's a decent built guy. So I don't know when. I think that's coming next year, 2020. I think is when The Witcher hits Netflix.
I think so.
Yeah. So really excited to see that. Eurus, thanks for watching, sir. Thanks for tuning in and posting. I heard about the Polish TV series. I don't know if it's any good or not. I
heard it was atrocious. It was meant to be.
Was it bad?
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully none of those people are involved with the American Netflix one. But I'm really excited though to see that video games are making their presence known in the media environment as far as like TV and movies. Well, The Witcher is kind of quite a ripe franchise, really. I think it's one of those things that you can look at and you just see so much potential as everything, as a TV show, as a role-playing game, because it's a continuing thing. It will never run out of ideas for things to do, really. There's always another monster in there. So. Yeah, I mean that, and yeah, you can come up with all kinds of monsters. That's the great part. And anything you can make up, it can be there. It can happen.
So maybe we should sort of talk about the system a little bit.
So if anybody's played Cyberpunk 2020 or Cyber Generation, you're going to be right at home with this. It's a stat and a skill and a 1d10. So your stats are rated. Let's get past all of this. And you can see here, like the criminal background. He's got this is all the skills that you get. Your gear. You get to pick 5 of them. And all that fun stuff. Magic perks, none. Your vigor starts at 0, and you're a practice paranoia because they're always out to get you. The doctor, which is very important.
It's deadly, so a doctor's very important.
Yeah, it's not it follows the video game pretty closely in the fact that you can get jacked up in this game real quick. which is a good thing. But yeah, character creation is not terribly hard. I'm trying to get to the mechanics page, and I know I could open up the index, but what fun is that? Do you have a page number, James? Because you've got the book.
Yeah, next chapter after this, I think. My book page will be different to the actual.
But it'll put me close.
Keep on going on at the end. It's after this chapter. You're on. There you go.
Oh, here we go. Okay. So here's your difficulties. So again, remember, a stat and a skill. Those are going to give you some numbers. You're going to combine those two numbers. You're going to roll a 1d10 and add that to it. I do believe 10s explode. Did they maintain that?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you can get some truly astronomical numbers. But you can see here your difficulty easy is a 10 and it goes up to nearly impossible, which is a 30. Because not too many characters are going to have a 10 in any of their attributes or skills. That's superhuman. I mean, even The Witcher, I think the highest you'll get probably is a 8 or a 9 at best. And then you'll go from there. And it talks about how to level up. Is there anything about the mechanics you wanted to pipe in there with, James?
No, I was just thinking. I was just going to say how simple the actual system was, and that it's not going to be like rolling tons of dice or anything like that. It is just a case of rolling a d10, which is nice. It's a nice little quick system. You resolve situations very quickly.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, IGN, I believe it was IGN. If you do a YouTube search for The Witcher live play, Corey Pondsmith, who is the son of Mike Pondsmith, and is actually heading up this RPG project. He does a live play with the guys over at IGN. And it was actually quite fun because the guys over at IGN, obviously they're computer-based games, but they do play some D&D and stuff. And so they had never played this type of game before, but they were all Witcher fans. And it was quite fun. There was 3 of them playing and Corey GMing, and it was a hoot. It was really fun to watch. So do yourself a favor and go check that out. It'll kind of give you a little idea of the game and them telling a cool story. One of the things, and I don't know if it was an affectation of the game or if it's actually built in. I don't remember it in the video game, but evidently when the Witcher character gets close to anything, what do they call the monsters and the bad guys? What are they called?
Well, monsters.
Is it straight up monsters? I didn't know if they were like wildlings.
They are basically straight up monsters.
Yeah. So whenever they get close to a monster, their Witcher necklace, the little wolf's head, vibrate. Yeah. Was that in the video game? I don't remember.
It is, yeah.
It is. Okay.
You get the whole Witcher vision as well, don't you? But yeah, the actual thing does vibrate a little bit when things are close by.
What? That makes sense because the controller vibrated.
Yeah,
that's how they simulate. That's okay. That's why it never dawned on me. Yeah, because whenever you got close to any of the monsters, the controller vibrates when you use the witch site. So skill trees, of course, and we're not going to explain the mechanics there because that's a whole separate video. But you got your bard skill, and you got 3 different options. You can go down the charmer, the informant, or the manipulator. I mean, just really in depth. You can make. Like no 2 characters are going to be the same. Even 2 Witchers aren't going to be the same because there's so many different skill trees you can go down, and things that you're going to take that are going to be different from everybody else. I was wondering to see. There we go. I mean, and these things correlate to what's in the video game as well, which is kind of cool. So
you got parry arrows and the quick strike and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, frenzy, the iron stomach. You can eat just about anything. I mean, just really. I mean, what a great conversion from the video game to the tabletop game. Yeah, they've hit it on all marks as far as I'm concerned.
They have, yeah, they've done a good job.
I definitely want to pick up a hard copy of this when I see it somewhere, whether it be on Amazon or wherever. Because I just do you have the full color cover or do you have the leatherette cover?
I have a full color cover.
So you have the normal print edition. Yeah. Still, to be honest, I like those better than the leather covers. I think the art is very evocative. Yeah. So I mean, the leather covers are nice. I guess it's cool to say, hey, I have this in my collection. But there's certain games I want to play and not collect. And this is one of those games that I would want to play, not just collect. So I'm happy to see that.
I will say, and there is a unfortunately there is a kind of a, not so much a negative, but there's actually kind of a something that's worth bearing in mind if you do go out and buy the copy of The Witcher or you buy the PDF or whatever. But if you actually go onto Reddit, onto the Witcher RPG subreddit, you will actually find that there is, and this is something that bothered me a little bit after I bought the game, is there, after handing the game out and people buying the game and playing the game and stuff, you can now download a 15-page errata.
15 pages?
Yeah.
Wow.
All problems that people have found with the game in some way or other. I don't think any of them are really game breaking. Right. But I think they did, and I'm not too sure whether they're going to update the game. I did actually email the people and said, look, are you going to be updating it? Is it going to be like a second edition or a 1.5 or something? And they said that there's no plans for doing something like that, but maybe one day they would or whatever. I don't know. But at the moment, there is a 15-page errata. So if you are going to buy the game, I'd go on there, download it, because it's free to download.
Right. As well, it should be.
I'm not sure whether the PDF comes with it already, but it is free to download. So
my PDF did not come with any errata.
Right. So I'm not too sure how long ago you got yours, but in that case, it's probably just available on Reddit. But it is just little things. And things that you could probably, if you came across them in a book, you'd probably just homebrew anyway.
Yeah.
But it's worth remembering that there is a errata on Reddit that you can download for free.
And that is, I love R.Talsorian. I love Mike Pondsmith. I've always been a big fan of their games. That is something to me that tells me you rushed to get this out. And that's not fair to the consumers. That is a negative strike in my book. And I'm not trying to be overly critical or mean, but let's face it, I am called Mr. Mean for a reason. And I think 15 pages of errata is utterly ridiculous.
I think it might be even more than 15, actually. I mean, I know that every game is going to have an errata, right? Every game is going to have an issue.
You can't catch it.
Overlooked or not spotted or whatever. And it's generally down to people who, there's people out there who will scrutinize games. Actually find out how many there is, actually. Give me a second. I'll just pop them.
Well, and while you're doing that, I'm going to say this. This game retails for what, $49.95 if you buy the physical book, probably?
I think I paid $60 or something.
Yeah, $49 or $59.99. I think the PDF is $20 or $25. When you're spending that much money, $60, let's just call it even and say it's $60 for the physical book. I shouldn't have to go and redact 15 pages of information that could be wrong. That to me, that's not cool. And I understand it's not cheap to produce these games. It's not cheap.
Well, apparently, yeah. Well,
you're a publisher.
Well, apparently, I mean, it does state that on the actual Reddit post, it states that the PDF version of Drivethru has been updated.
Oh, okay.
It does give a link to people who've got a print version. They can find a file on their website, but when I've clicked it, the file doesn't exist and the website's 404.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not too sure what's going on with that.
Well, their website is kind of horrible, and they know it. They're working on updating it. I did see. I went to their website yesterday, and they had a Mike or somebody. I think it was either Mike or Cody had posted that we are aware of website issues and we are working. But you got to remember, they're a mom and pop company. They don't have they're not TSR or WotC, or Fantasy Flight Games. This is basically a family affair. Yeah.
I think the important thing another thing to bear in mind, right? So there's a few things on it on the actual Reddit. So it's worth checking out the Reddit, because on here you get there is the errata. It says it's called the first printing errata now, so they may have actually that may be a thing that they're doing. There's all the player resources in here, so you can actually get official character sheet, your form fillable character sheet, the redesigned character sheets done by fans, the extra sheets. The Roll20 character sheet. You also get learning resources. There's other resources. There's a GM screen, monster sheets, maps, creative crafting references.
Put that link in the chat, would you?
Yeah, I can pop a link in the chat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
put that link in the chat because I'd like to go get the jam screen.
You can download and all sorts of things. So check it out.
Anthony's saying it's £40 from Game Store in the UK. So
Games Law, yeah.
So that's close to $60 here in the US. $55, $57 somewhere right. I don't know. The pound and the dollar fluctuate so much; it's hard to keep track.
But there's an awful lot of resources on the Reddit page, so it's worth checking out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, post that if you can in the chat there for anybody.
So the errata, I've just opened up the errata, which is a PDF, and it's going to tell me, and it's all done out properly. So it's all got the headings and everything, all the colorings and stuff.
So it's just like the book.
Yeah, basically, and it's 8 pages.
Oh, and now is that front and back? So if I print that, is it print as 8 pages or 16?
8. I think it's just 8 pages.
Okay.
And it goes for all the.
Well, 8 pages is a lot different than 15.
Yeah, it's still a lot, though, isn't it?
Yeah. I to be honest, you shouldn't have more than 1 or 2 pages of errata.
No. So anyway, so there you go. There, there's a link there you can go on to. So that's been posted, and just grab your stuff. And there's adventures on there and stuff, homebrew adventures people have made and just posted up there and things you can download.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot of stuff on there, so it's worth checking it out. Actually,
did you put it in the chat? Because I don't see it.
I have, yeah. It's in the chat.
Oh, I'm not seeing it. Huh. I might have to refresh my page.
Yeah. I think Games Law in the UK have probably been the cheapest place to buy it in the UK, actually, because they tend to be the cheapest. I completely recommend Games Law to anybody who role plays in this country and have to buy their games online because there's no local gaming store, which is my case. I don't have a local gaming store. So I don't have any kind of gaming store. Just consider it's a major city. But so I get all my games online, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's nice to go to the store. It'd be lovely to go in one, but unfortunately I didn't got any. So. Anyway, so yeah, 40 quid is pretty good. Pretty much standard.
Is it 40 quid or 40 pound?
Same thing.
Well, you said 40 quid.
40 quid is 40 pounds.
It is? I don't know your damn strange convergent currency.
40 quid is just nowhere saying 40
What's a pence? Christ. Come on. Nickel, dime, penny, quarter. Simple.
Yeah. But
us
we were around before you were.
Right.
Anyway, so it's worth checking out. If you are going to check it out, if you are going to grab a PDF or you're going to grab a book, be aware that the Reddit post is there and that you can grab some more stuff from there, character sheets and all sorts of other monsters and all sorts of things that people have made for it. It's been very active community. So check it out.
Yeah, no, you can't beat that. Yeah, I still don't see it popping up. The last post I see is from Anthony saying it's 40 pounds.
Yeah, mine's just below that.
Yeah, I don't see it. It's not popping up. Let me see, maybe. Yeah, I see my hay.
Oh, yeah, I'm just above your hay. That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it says, all I see is welcome to live chat. Because I refreshed the page.
Well, it's there.
Yeah, we'll see it afterwards.
Yeah.
No big deal. Oh, that's Anthony's page. Yay.
Yeah, so...
I'm going to give a shout out to Mr. Tony Durrell, who's a new subscriber.
Oh, right, yeah.
He subscribed about an hour ago. So thank you, Tony. Appreciate it.
Before you're babbling on about games and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what
we be subscriber for.
That's what we do.
What the hell are these two guys talking about? They're idiots. Subscribe.
So so the game's got pretty much everything you want in it. It's not your standard fantasy tropes, but yet it is, which is kind of neat. And some people will take it as a pro and some will take it as a con, that there's really only one Witcher, and then everybody else plays the support staff. But you can have your doctor, your healer, you can have your thief, which I think would probably be fun to play because the mechanics really I like the stat, skill, and a 1d10. I love that mechanic. I think it works really well, and it's very fast. And I even like to, when I was running Cyberpunk, because Cyberpunk, most of the damage was on D6s. So I would have the players roll their D10 and their D6s. So that way we would know, did you succeed or did you fail? And if you succeeded, we knew what your damage was right away. So you didn't have to go, oh, let me find my damage dice and let me roll them. I do that with my D&D game when I play in person. Any role-playing game that I'm playing on the tabletop, if it facilitates that kind of aspect, I have them roll the damage dice as well. So we've got all kinds of alchemy descriptions. I mean, like I said, anything that's in The Witcher is in here. Armor enhancements, transportation, toolkits. I mean, everything, you name it. General gear. I will say it's a very simple layout, but this is just text boxes. These are Excel spreadsheets imported into, the program. The Uni system, yeah, it's very similar, Anthony, to the Uni system. For those that don't know, the Uni system is by George Valikos and the guys behind like All Flesh Must Be Eaten and Witchcraft and Armageddon. Little known fact, I helped write some of those games and did a lot of play testing for Witchcraft and Armageddon. CJ Corella, a very prolific author, actually. Armageddon is his brainchild. And you want a role-playing game where it's the end times or nigh, go check out Armageddon. It's a great game. You can play angels, devils, monsters, witches, vampires, ghosts, werewolves, you name it. You want to play it, you can play it. And a very, very dark setting that you're struggling to survive in. So yeah, the Uni system to me is another, again, stat, a skill, and a 1d10. Great system. And you can average dice, damage dice in that game, so you don't even have to roll damage. And I like that. Buffy the Vampire Slayer uses an abbreviated system of the Uni system as well, which George's company, what is the name of his company? Can't think of it. Eden Studios. Eden Studios did the Uni system. And they've been pretty quiet, but they're working on it.
They did Conspiracy X, didn't they?
Conspiracy X, yeah, another man. If you're a big fan of the X-Files and you want to play in that kind of world, Conspiracy X, a great game. And the new version that Eden put out is even better than the original version, because the original version used the Zenny cards, which is it's a test they developed back, I think, during World War I, when they were trying to find if psychic powers were real. And it's just basically cards with symbols on them, and you were supposed to guess the card. They use that mechanic in the first edition of Conspiracy X. They've gone away from that, and they've got a different mechanic. You can still use it though if you so desire. So great system, man. Conspiracy X, great game, and only a couple of books in the series, but fully compatible with like Witchcraft or Armageddon if you wanted to use those. That's the nice part. The Uni system is it's a very generic system in that aspect. So if you've never played any of those games, man, I highly recommend you check them out. Witchcraft is one of my all-time favorite games, just because I was real big into vampire back in the day, and so Witchcraft was like the natural progression onto that. When vampires started dying down, I found Witchcraft, and I was like, ooh. And I mean, I have all the books up on the shelf there, and I've actually done a review of Witchcraft. If you go back in my channel there and you look, so yeah, James, I mean, pretty freaking awesome stuff. I mean, yeah. It's amazing how much things change, they stay the same.
Yeah.
So we've got all our gear descriptions. Again, the cool art, I don't know what the hell that is that he's picking up with tweezers, and I don't want to know. And keep it the hell away from me. Looks like some sort of leech, but I don't know leeches that are lime green.
No, I mean, the game is the world is very interesting and stuff. And I think even if you didn't want to play as a Witcher, or so you couldn't decide who played the Witcher, just playing as characters, roaming around the world is going to be just as exciting anyway.
Yeah, and they talk about that. You don't have to have a Witcher.
Exactly.
You can play, because let's face it, that's kind of the downside of the game, is whoever gets to play the Witcher is going to be, uber awesome, and it's going to be pretty much better than all the other characters. I mean, they are. I mean, that's the downside. What's Anthony saying there? We used witchcraft for All Flesh Must Be Eaten for inspired characters. Yeah, totally. Yeah, All Flesh Must Be Eaten, another fun game if you like your zombie games. Yeah, I can't say enough about Eden Studios. I think they're awesome games. And yeah, but back to The Witcher. Yeah, if you can't decide on who's going to play The Witcher, everybody can play mages. You could be a coven of mages.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I guess if the GM wanted to, you could let everybody play, lower powered Witchers. Maybe this is the new class of Witchers, and they're going out to get proven and tested. And those that die, well, then they weren't meant to be.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
You buy it, it's your game. You do what you want with it, I suppose. But
yeah.
Stay true to law or not, but if you want to stay true to law,
every GM is going to make the game their own in some way, shape, or form. Because typically in the world of The Witcher, there's not too many Witchers running around. They're like few and far between, right?
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, Geralt was probably one of the last. Really.
Yeah, I mean, years past. I mean, like 100 years ago, they were pretty prolific because monsters were everywhere. But then as technology and stuff, and man started going away from like the old gods or whatever, I guess they just times change. There weren't as many, and then the convergence or whatever it is happened, and it kind of brought monsters back, right?
Yeah,
in the lore. But unfortunately, the Witchers didn't have a resurgence of recruiting, so to speak. So and I'm sure they talk about it in the book. There's very in-depth magic chapter in all the spells. So I think it would be cool to play a mage in this game.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
Because the Witcher can do a little bit of magic, but it's nothing super powerful.
Not compared to the mages and stuff. Yeah.
Urist is saying there used to be an old crappy Batman RPG. It forced one of the players to play Batman while the rest played their own characters. Yeah, that would kind of suck. Man, I have to be Batman. In those kind of games, that's just a sign of the times. They were forcing. They thought it was a good idea in concept.
Yeah. I always wondered how they managed to fit so many people in the Batmobile when there's only like 2 seats.
Well, it was the Bat van. It was the Bat van and Uber. Bat van. It was a Winnebago. So lots of cool spells. The art again, super evocative. I really dig little. That's a nice picture right there when it comes up. There you go. One more. I'm watching the YouTube feed on the side here. It'll come. There you go. That's a nice picture right there. The young lady holding the sword, possibly a future Witcher right there. Or no, that's a priest. I guess they're trying to say. I don't know much about the priest because I didn't get far enough in the game to run into any of them. I don't know if they're a playable or not necessarily a playable character, but if they're an NPC that runs around with Geralt or not.
I don't think I've ever seen a priest in the game.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that something they added for the RPG, maybe?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played enough. I tell you what, though, I am going to make an effort to go back and fire up The Witcher and play it. I have it as a...
I have actually, yeah, I've been thinking about...
going back and restarting it?
Yeah. Well, I've actually got it loaded up on my PlayStation, so I've actually got it sitting there. But I've been playing Dark Souls 3.
I can't get into those games, man. They're not my cup of tea. I don't like games where you're on rails.
Yeah, they're hard, basically.
Yeah. They just don't hold my attention. Rituals. So we've got forbidden rituals. I mean, probably stuff. Just cool stuff, man. We're not even halfway through the book. I'm going to hexes. Now, this is where these are the realms of the bad guys, right? The hexes.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. They do tend to.
So that's probably a GM section right there. But there's it's only 1 page, 2 pages. Hex of the Beast, stamina cost. the Devil's Luck. Ooh, man, yeah, very cool stuff. I'm just looking here. Places of Power. So, I mean, really, for a GM, this is just a playground. They give you so much information in here. I mean, and it's 336 pages, which is decent size nowadays for an RPG. That seems to become the standard, so to speak, you know, for RPGs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. And I think the game just looks amazing. I think the game looks really nice. I mean, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of their tables. They're a little bit lazy.
Yeah, I agree.
But apart from that,
they do. I will say, in all fairness, to play devil's advocate, my yin to your yang, the tables are a little bit on the lazy side, but they do stand out, and the information is readily available. You know, you don't have to scrutinize the table. It's pretty succinct in what it is and what you're looking for, which is pretty cool. So, yeah. Crafting system. See, I didn't even know this was in the book. I totally glanced past this.
Well, it's a big part of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's making stuff.
Your armor crafted and your weapons crafted, and you get all of that stuff kind of done, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I mean, going to swords and crafting everything, because in the game you actually wind up upgrading your swords, both of them, and finding better swords and or getting materials to make imbue your sword with better powers and stuff. So that's very cool that it's actually in the RPG as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. See, like, I agree with you. Like right here, crafting components on page 128 of the PDF. It's going to catch up here in a second. There's a little bit of a delay on YouTube. That's not very pretty. I mean, they did use contrasting colors, and it matches the border of the page and everything. But that being said, the information's there, and you can readily find what you need.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's a few things I would have done slightly differently, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so neither here nor there. I mean, it doesn't make the game non-playable.
And what do you cares what I think?
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, ingots and materials. Yeah, that's pretty cool. They've got, because that's all in the computer game. That's pretty neat. I mean, that's somebody put a lot of hours into the video game to get this all straight.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, to turn it. And I know Mike is not a huge computer game guy, but I believe his son is. So that could have, maybe why he had such a large hand in developing this. And you got your diagrams. If you play the computer-based game, this is a big deal in the game.
I can imagine the conversations like, Dad, you seen this computer game? It's called The Witcher. It's awesome. We should make it into a role-playing game. Well, tell you what, we make it into a role-playing game, but you're doing all the work.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much kind of how it went, because he's been working with CD Projekt Red. He being Mike Pondsmith, the dad, the founder of R.Talsorian Games. He's been working with CD Projekt Red and going back and forth to Poland for about the last 4 years now. So, it's been a while, and I think they were very happy. I remember, it had to have been close to 4 years ago, seeing the teaser trailer for Cyberpunk and seeing Mike Pondsmith talking about it, where I think he was in Poland somewhere, and he was walking underneath a bridge, and he was just talking about the concept and the Cyberpunk. And that was like the teaser. You never did see anything that said CD Projekt Red, or you didn't see anything that said, Cyberpunk 2077. It just said, Mike Pondsmith on the future of Cyberpunk or something like that. It was like a 3-4 minute video, and that was like kind of the teaser that he threw out there. So yeah, cool nonetheless. So all kinds of diagrams here for your crafting. So to me, the way this game kind of looks, not having been able to play it yet, is that there's playability here. There's long-term campaign play in this. Is that kind of how you see it? Did I lose you?
No, sorry. Yep, I'm back.
I was saying,
I don't know what happened.
I was saying that the way this game's kind of, with all the master diagrams and the crafting and everything, it really seems that this is a RPG that's going to lend itself to long-term play. Like, they want you to run a campaign in it. They want you to go through the world and progress your character and learn about, the world and all the things you can do, which to me is kind of cool. I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, we all want to play that game where we tell epic stories, and we go on from level 1 to level 10 or whatever. You know what I mean? So it looks like this game really wants you to do that, and I like that. I'm down with that. Even they've got stuff in here to fix your gear when it breaks, which is a lot of RPGs don't go in that route. They're throw it away, buy a new one. Well, they do. I mean, D&D's notorious for that. You get a +1 sword and you get up around level 5 or level 6, that +1 sword is worthless. It doesn't do you any good.
I really think about melting it down, do they? And
melt it down. Yeah.
Building a new one.
Yeah. So, I mean, they do have rules, aftermarket rules. I think you can get it on the DM's Guild on how to progress magical weapons. They've had that out since D&D 3.5, But there's a lot of different formulas and everything.
I think it's kind of sad that there's not more crafting in Gantry. I think I kind of like the whole crafting side of things. It kind of
it gives you something to strive forward.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a nice image. It's going to come up in a second.
Oh, right.
Erst says that's a lot of crafting. Yeah, if you've played the video game, I'd say a good 30 to 40% of the game is about crafting.
You're actually finding crafting supplies and so forth, right? And taking it to some blacksmith somewhere just to get your weapon upgraded or your armor improved, or
especially if you can't, kill a certain monster because your weapon doesn't have the right attributes on it, and then you go visit the blacksmith, or you find the right alchemical components and you're able to coat your weapon, and then all of a sudden you find out how easy it is to kill that monster, So that's a cool piece of art right there.
That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, really well. And then we get to the meat and potatoes, the combat of The Witcher. Again, guys, this is available on Drivethru RPG. You can order it from R.Talsorian directly, or your favorite local game store may get a copy of the game. So nice little chart here to tell you about your actions, your attack, verbal combat, cast magic, use a skill to do something. Run, very important in The Witcher. Running is a viable tactic.
Run away.
Yeah, well, I remember when I was playing the video game, and the first monster you track down is that griffin. And if you don't have if you don't do the little side quest that gives you the crossbow, you can't beat that. I mean, you can, but it's very, very hard, And I must have died 20 times, but then I got the crossbow and I went back and I killed him in like 2 seconds. Shot him with the crossbow a couple of times and then was able to just hack him up. And it was like, oh my God, this is so much easier than trying to just wait for him to land. So yeah, the game definitely has some tactics that you have to use. And that's what's good about it, because it keeps you thinking. So now I kind of like this page 152 of the PDF. It should come up on the screen here in just a second. I like this kind of a little bit of a chart system, that tells you, gives you your vision where normal and restricted, obviously if you're wearing a helmet, or if, for whatever reason. Yeah, there's a number of spells that can reduce your visibility, your scatter. That's a nice little chart. That's something that I think the GM should print out or photocopy if you don't have the PDF, and every player should have a copy of this sitting in front of them. I think that would be very, very useful.
Yeah, I think that's kind of also could be used when you want to use miniatures. If you want to play with miniatures, I guess that would work well with that.
Yeah, I mean, you could still do theater of the mind, but I in certain games, and this is one of them, that I think miniatures would really add to it.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of using miniatures because I do a lot of my playing online anyway, so it doesn't really matter anyway. But
yeah, most of my games are going, fantasy ground route. So while I love using miniatures on an actual tabletop, I also really enjoy theater of the mind. It just depends on the game I'm playing. But obviously, fantasy ground roll 20, you have that access to miniatures, which can, obviously help set the tone. Now, for fantasy ground and roll 20, the Witcher has a very unique theme to its art style. So you're either going to have to spend some time importing images from the PDF, and that takes a little bit of work, because I don't think there's anybody out there doing Witcher themed art. So, it's going to be those electronic resources aren't going to have the stock art in place that you're going to need. So I think the Witcher's art style is very, very thematic and very, very Witcher-esque in its style. It's not like Warhammer art. It's not D&D art. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, exactly.
It's its own lineup. Like I don't see any D&D elves that look like that.
Yeah, elves and Witcher are kind of interesting as well because they're hated, and they by everybody pretty much.
Well, yeah, and they're just jerks. That's not a nice looking elf right there. That elf looks like he's like, guys, we're gonna go kill all these people.
Yeah, they're kind of like the terrorist group, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, there you go. There's a happy picture. It's like some sort of barbarian fighting a giant of some kind.
Yeah, it does look like that now.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just cool art right there. I mean, it's like I said, that's just very neat. You got fumbles, of course, in the Cyberpunk system, or I don't even know what they call their game system now. Is it Interlock? I think that's what it's.
No, they did call it Fusion, didn't they?
No, Fusion was its own game system.
Right.
Remember, the original Cyberpunk, the combat section was called Friday Night Firefight. And then when they went to their Cyberpunk 2020 version 1, because the original Cyberpunk was a box set.
Right.
And then when they went to the book, the combat section was called Friday Night Firefight, but I think it was called Interlock, if I remember correctly. And that's the stat and a skill and a 1d10. And it's always used that mechanic. But they called the combat system Friday Night Firefight, which I thought that's too much to say, man. So they got rid of that and they changed it to, I want to say it was Interlock. But if you roll a 1, that's a fumble. Because remember, you're only rolling 1 die, adding it to a stat and a skill. So you could have a stat of 8 or 9 and a skill of 8 or 9, which is legendary, basically. But if you roll a 1 on that D10, that's still a fumble.
Mm.
Even if you made the target number.
Right.
So and then you had to roll, and then I believe you rolled again and subtracted, if I remember correctly. And then I know if you rolled a 10, 10's exploded. That was a critical success, and you rolled again and added to it. I'm not sure if The Witcher uses that same mechanic. I believe it does, but I don't know for sure. But still, awesome. I mean, I don't know, James. I'm going to fight you on the table thing. I think it fits in perfectly with the feel.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, but everybody has different. You're a game designer, so you're the artsy fartsy type. I'm the guy that buys the book and plays the damn game. So, but I always rant about this on my channel, that the art has to maintain a flow, and the theme. I like that they're not switching up the art, or they're not switching up the layout of the book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I hate it when books do that. They're maintaining a flow here. It may not be the coolest charts in the book, but they work. So lots of cool effects and everything. Because that's another. This page coming up is a little bit grim.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, right there. Yeah. Somebody had a bad day. Talking about your criticals and stabilization and every death save, so that's obviously important. And of course, in-depth combat. So yeah, I don't want to sit here and go page by page. Let me Let me get back to the. Let's go here. They don't have.
Basically, to sum all up, the game is pretty solid, and if you like The Witcher, then it's definitely worth checking out. Even if you're not going to use a rule system, you can just use it for the world building and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
If you don't want to play a Witcher, you don't have to play a Witcher. You can play just a group of people and treat it as a normal fantasy game if you want it.
Yeah.
But the world itself is very rich. There's an awful lot of really interesting Eastern European kind of monsters and taken from folklore and myth and all sorts of stuff. And it's kind of merged with this kind of fantasy dwarfs and elves and all the other sort of what you expect to find in a standard fantasy RPG. But yeah, it's a pretty solid game. And it's totally a thumbs up from me, I think.
Yeah, that's high praise indeed, because you're kind of picky. I mean, no offense.
Yeah.
I've read your games. I know.
Yeah, I like what I like.
Reviewed a lot of your games.
Yeah.
I think I've reviewed almost all of them.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a older looking Witcher. Well, who's the guy? Your companion in the video?
Oh, Vesemir, yeah, he's kind of the head witch. He's the one who trains them all, isn't he? So,
yeah, that's pretty reminiscent of the video game right there, fighting the Griffin.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's the bestiary. And so this goes through and lists, some of the monster types, which is cool. They use iconography, which I like, and then all the different types of critters that you're going to run into, and then here's for building an encounter. The threat is easy and simple. The bounty, because there's a bounty system in the game, and this is how much you would get bounty for killing this and bringing it in. So, I mean, really just sets the theme. There's, basic information. So these are basically like monster cards, for lack of a better word, and it gives you a brief blurb about them. So yeah, like James said, it's just a damn cool game, man. I think it's really well produced. I'm a little miffed at the 8 pages of errata. I'm not thrilled about that. But I think I'm sorry.
A lot to go through in it. If you,
yeah, I think 8 pages is an awful lot, but I think there's a ton. I mean, we're talking 336 pages here. That's a lot of reading. I mean, to go through, and mistakes are going to creep in. Things are going to get made. That aren't going to be correct, and very well that there's a lot of time and effort that goes into creating a tabletop RPG.
Oh yeah, there's a hell of a lot of work that goes into them. I mean, everything has got to be, and the thing is, it makes it harder knowing that there's going to be people out there who are going to basically go through your work with a fine tooth comb and pick on everything they can. It does make it tougher when you know that.
And I mean, not to say that that's necessarily a bad thing, because to be honest, you kind of want that.
It's not necessarily
bad. You should get with those people before you go to print. And I hate to say it, I think that didn't happen here. Because 8 pages of errata is pretty high for a 336-page book. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying it's a lot of errata, and that means a lot of mistakes got through, which tells me they rushed it to try and get it. Because this came out at Gen Con last year, 2020. So To All a Good Night is the adventure in the book. So it does give you a jumping off point. And I think if you're going to run this adventure, you definitely want to give that errata a good read through and make sure that none of that affects the running of this adventure. Because nothing worse than being in the middle of an adventure and all of a sudden realizing that you've been doing something wrong the whole time. That really puts a sour taste in people's mouths.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots. I mean, looks like a pretty hefty adventure.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you shouldn't go for the adventures just in case people are going to be looking at this and they're going to play it.
That's true. But
you're going to do it anyway.
And you're going to play the adventure. You're either going to be the GM or you're going to be a player. You're going to read it one way or the other. So I don't really think we're spoiling anything there. And it's not up on the screen very long. So people who are going to cheat the adventure are going to pause it and read it anyway. So, but here we have the character sheet. I'm going to say I've always had a problem with R.Talsorian's character sheets. I think they suck.
Yeah, that's why there's probably not a fan made.
Bland. I mean, I do dig the watermark in the background, the Witcher's wolf head. That's kind of cool, but it's almost blended out to the point where you can't see it, especially with the dark part. I know there is online. You can go get a black and white version, and it shows up a little bit better. And then you were saying that on the Reddit post, there's some alternate character sheets.
Lots of fan-made ones, yeah.
Fan-made ones, yeah, which I'm sure are probably pretty good. But I mean, these are serviceable. They're gonna, you've got some lines. I hate it when game designers make a character sheet and they don't put lines, because I write like a doctor, and I also think that in this day and age of electronic technology, we should have PDF form fillable character sheets.
Yeah.
So the fact
they are a bit of a pain in the ass to make, though.
Oh, sure. But, that's the joy, is a lot of your fan base will do that for you. And I know on the R.Talsorian website, you can get a form fillable character sheet. So I know, because I downloaded it already. So I know it's there.
There's one on Roll20 anyway. I think there is a character sheet on Roll20. So
yeah, and there's but like for me, I don't use Roll20. I use Fantasy Grounds, and I know there's not one for Fantasy Ground. Not yet anyway. But that's neither. I mean, they have their More Core. It's called More Core. That's their generic you can use to run any game. You just have to do some tweaking and stuff. And there's the dice codes inside of Fantasy Ground are not terribly hard, so you can actually set it up to where you click on it and it'll roll the appropriate dice. So flip side is you can always go, oh, my strength is 6, my dex or my acrobatics is a 6. That's 12. Roll a d10, add it. It's not hard. Nice part here is we got a full index. I'm a big fan of that, because when you're running a game and you're not sure on a rule, it's nice to be able to jump to this index and find what you're looking for. So and there's Cody. I mean, I don't know if they give a picture of there's his wife. Is Mike going to be in here?
No, I think it's just Cody and
it's just the wife, Lisa. That's funny. So pretty awesome there. I mean, we get a little blurb about both of them. And then, of course, the world doesn't need a hero. It needs a professional. Because don't forget, guys, you're playing The Witcher. It's all about getting paid. You don't do this for free. You do this, Unfortunately, I think there's one quest early in The Witcher where she can't pay you. She gives you a chicken.
yeah.
And what's his name? The old timer that's training you. He's just bitching and moaning the whole time. And then I think one guy gives you a horse because he can't pay you, and that's how you get your mount. So yeah, it's very funny. But yeah, there's the blurb on the back. We'll leave that up. If you're interested in this, like Anthony posted, you can get it at the game store in the UK, which I guess is an online retailer.
Yeah, it's Games Law. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. You can also order it from, you can get the PDF anywhere, basically. I'm a big fan of Drivethru RPG because they keep a database of everything you order. So if you lose your hard drive or you have to go back and re-download it, or you're over at a friend's house, as long as you can get on the internet, you can download a copy of your game. And I have a little Kindle. I have an 8-inch Fire HD Kindle that I use a lot of times if I'm the player, and I like to download the PDF on my Kindle, and I can have that as access. Or I have a little 11-inch Lenovo laptop that I use for gaming as well. So, but I'm an IT nerd. I don't expect everybody to have 3 or 4 laptops like me. I have an addiction. I do apologize. I do, man. I'm horrible. You've seen my library. It's a mess. It's a lot of books. But yeah. So overall, James, you'd say this is a buy.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, I'll definitely pick it up. I'll definitely have to have updated the PDF. Then I'll definitely pick it up at Drivethru because a PDF will have all the errata in it. The book won't. But if you're happy to run with it and hope that you can sort it out as you hit it, or to download the errata, then definitely grab the book.
Well, let me ask you this on the book. What kind of paper is it? High gloss paper?
Very high gloss paper, yeah.
Okay, so it's relatively thick.
Yeah.
So you could take your errata, cut out the paragraphs, a little glue, and paste it inside the book to cover up that.
Yeah, I suppose you could.
Yeah, I've done that with a number of books where the paper is a little bit thicker, because you want to use a non viscous glue if you can. So like those glue sticks, that the Elmer glue sticks work really well.
Well, the other thing is that the margins, or outside margins are quite wide, which is quite good as well. So.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so definitely you've got room to cut and paste, so to speak, in your physical book. I've seen people even use a piece of like blue tack, and just cut out that blurb and tack it on that page.
Yeah.
So that they're just basically, they know, oh, there's errata here. Or you can use little page post-it notes, those little bookmark type deals. Yeah. And you can say, put a big E for errata, whatever you need to use to know that, okay, on page 36, there's errata. Then you can go to the errata and look at it. So that way, when you're playing, running, or creating characters, you won't be doing the wrong thing. So there's various ways, and everybody's going to use whatever it is they use. But I'm going to agree with James. I'm going to say this is a buy.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm definitely going to pick up the hardback of this when I get back to work. I think I really like the look of the book. I haven't seen a hardback, so I definitely want to get a copy. I'm probably going to print this and spiral bound it, and go from there. And I'll probably print out the errata and put it, like on the very first page, behind the cover art, because I have a real nice laser jet. It's just, unfortunately, I need a part for it. It's broken.
Well, I mean, if this actually came out as on Drivethru, then it should be still in your library, which means the updated version will be in your library. So.
Yeah, and that's what I'll do. I'll download. I haven't downloaded the new update, but if there is an update, I'll go check and I'll download it. And then go from there. I'm hoping once I get Mike on the show and I get my copy of Cyberpunk, I'll hit him up for a copy of The Witcher. Just because, I mean, this does count as a review, and we're both saying buy it, so hopefully that counts, and hopefully anybody in the chat there or is watching along at home will decide to pick up a copy for themselves if they haven't already. And of course, tell them Mr. Mean sent you, or Mr. James sent you, because I think it's well worth adding it to your library. I think it's especially if you've played the video game and you like this world, and and you're a GM. There's just so much to do. You can really play the hell out of this. But I think it lends itself really well to campaign play. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, because there is a lot. The world is very varied. I mean, you'll never find a boring moment, I don't think, in a game. It's a very rich world.
Yeah, it's a really good video game. All right. Well, James, I have to get on the road.
Right.
I want to thank everybody in the chat. I want to give a special thanks to Mr. James Gantry of Feral Games Inc. for spending the last hour with me, hour and a half, and listening to me babble. Everybody is awesome. Peace, love, and hair grease. James will come up with a topic for next Wednesday, hopefully.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's a few games I wouldn't mind reviewing, actually, that I've got that I wouldn't mind having, if you can have a look at. And,
yeah, totally. Well, you and I will dialogue offline, and we'll make sure that we get our homework done for next week. I thought this turned out really well. Beautiful book. And again, those just tuning in or whatever, this will be posted up on YouTube for you to peruse later at your leisure. This was a live chat with Mr. Mean and Mr. James Gantry from Feral Games Inc., going over R.Talsorian's The Witcher RPG, taken directly from the video game. So if you're a fan of the video game, you'll be a fan of this. James, again, thank you, sir, for spending time with me. As always, it was a blast.
Yep, it's fine.
I look forward to doing it next week. And everybody out there in YouTube land, peace, hair grease, and remember, Mr. Mean says be nice. And I want to let everybody know to just have a lovely, wonderful day. And we're going to end the stream. And everybody have a great day. Okay, James?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.